Hey, this is Chris LaFay, and welcome to the Chat with Leaders podcast, where we amplify the voices of remarkable leaders who use their influence as a force for good. Today, this episode is very special to us because it's going to be the first in a series with our partner, Be Local Georgia, where we're helping to amplify the voices of these B Corp leaders that are residing here in Georgia, the Peach State. And so today I have Nathan Stuck with me, who is the founder and chair of Be Local Georgia, to kick us off with this conversation with Kevin Dunn today. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Chris. Thanks for having me. And I'm really excited for this new partnership and the ability to tell some really inspiring stories, introduce people to the B Corp movement, the B Corp certification, and what it means to really use your business as a force for good. We're going to be joined today with our host, Jeff Bond, and our guest, Kevin Dunn, who's the CEO of Decisely, which was one of the original B Corps in the state of Georgia, and is an insurtech company that's focused on providing integrated benefits and other HR solutions to small businesses. And essentially, Kevin saw a gap in the industry. He saw healthcare costs rising faster than wages, and he saw the small business owners, which make up 90+% of that market, being squeezed out and unable to offer good benefits to their employees. So he's developed a solution, and I think you'll really enjoy his story. He's the first in our series. He is an inspiring leader, and I think our listeners are going to enjoy episode 1 of this partnership between Chat with Leaders and Be Local Georgia. And without further ado, let's kick it over to Jeff.
Welcome to Chat with Leaders, Kevin.
Thank you, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great today. I'm super excited to be talking with you, and always excited to have leaders on this show that are using their influence as a genuine force for good in the community. And we really believe in collective impact. We have a strong alignment of values there. So I'm really grateful for you to share this time with us.
I'm excited to be here. So appreciate the offer, and look forward to talking about the great things that are happening in the world.
So when people visit Decisely.com, they will see a call to action of the power of we, which is going to be our topic today. And I love that phrase right there because it kind of speaks directly to the point that, hey, we can be better. We can be stronger together if we focus on that collective impact. So really good conversation I'm excited about. I wanted to kind of step back first, though, Kevin, and ask why you originally started Decisely after you had a very successful career in giant Fortune 100 companies.
Saw what innovation can do. Coming from giant innovative companies like Delta Airlines and building their first website back in 1995, and how e-commerce fundamentally changed an industry ultimately, and fundamentally changed it for the better, from a distribution to customer service and the friendliness associated to it, and driving down overall economics. This was a natural. It's been, a couple decades later, and it's just now coming to the brokerage and insurance side of things. So, really was excited about taking that experience and applying it here at this point.
When did you arrive at the vision that you could build a business that would reimagine the way that brokers and small businesses work together to provide more Americans with affordable healthcare?
So in 2015, developed a business plan, then took a private equity round of funding in late 2016, but launched the overall product in February of 2016. And so what we did is that, looked at this and said, as you just said, our mission is to deliver affordable and quality health insurance to more Americans in the U.S. And what we kind of started out with is that, $1 in $4 in GDP is traced back to insurance. So a very large market. And then the GDP is growing at 2 to 4% per year, while healthcare costs are actually rising by 4 times that amount. And so we've got a serious problem on our hand from a US perspective. So, average deductibles have increased 212% over the decade. And so, society has that problem and needed to fix it. We decided that we can do something about that. And so we really took health insurance and said, okay, in America, the source of health insurance for most people is via their employer. And seeing as the small businesses represent 55 million employees in the US, it's natural to start with a small business to make a bigger dent in the actual economy itself and change that cost curve. And so we set pursuit on the power of we, The power of we is about taking small businesses and aggregating them into larger pools from an underwriting perspective to ultimately drive down cost. So you take something like, Amazon delivery service provider that, comes to your house and take, 2,800 locations and make them into one consolidated health insurance product. You drive down the cost. Or taking it to an Arby's, which is another local brand here in Atlanta, and taking, over 2,000 stores and putting them together, you can ultimately get a discount like a Delta Airlines or a Federal Express would ultimately get, and allows about 10 to 30% discount on health insurance. And that helps make it affordable for the employee base to buy insurance and to be protected.
And for those small businesses to provide it. I mean, I have felt that personally working for small businesses, that it's just so hard to come by affordable healthcare and to offer that as a employee benefits package. And then you struggle with attracting and then retaining the talent when you're competing with all the larger organizations. But you think about it, and you've seen it a lot during the pandemic, small businesses make up well over half of our U.S. workforce, and they've been decimated as it is. And so they're going to be, trying to come back. So the fact that you're aggregating this pool and that you've already created this platform for them to be able to provide such competitive benefits to their employees and to the individuals and their families. I mean, you think about the trickle down effect that has on so many people's lives. That must be fulfilling and get you out of bed pretty excited every day.
It really does. And you hit the nail on the head, which is, 65% of new jobs created since 2000 were actually created by small businesses, not large businesses. So when you look at coming out of the pandemic and the resurgence of new employment, it's small businesses that are going to jumpstart this economy. And you're seeing that. And part of those small businesses, they're finding it hard to find workers at this point that, are still not leaving their homes. And so, health insurance itself is not only a retention vehicle, but it's also a way to express that, hey, we will take care of you in a small business, and, makes them more attractive from an employer perspective. So we're expecting great things. Small business economy is just, it's going to be booming, and has proven in the last recession that it grew more than small businesses. So I truly believe that's going to be a huge part of this recovery plan.
It's amazing. And you were telling me, I think in our last conversation, that you've grown year over year, really over the last several years, right? You haven't slowed down at all. In fact, you've probably seen more of an increase during the pandemic, which, not everyone can say. And it's just a true testament that what you're offering from an insurtech standpoint and your platform and the offering is really landing and really making a big difference out there.
Thanks for the confidence in that. And we do take it very serious to be able to do that. And we've been fortunate enough is that we did double our revenues in 2020. And, we'll do at least 2 times, if not 3 times our revenue this year. It's just because the sensitivity associated to health insurance. The pandemic definitely proved people not only need health insurance, but they also need a strong product from a technology perspective that can be an HR home delivery. And so that you as an HR manager can work from home and you can recruit, you can look at applications, you can set up a Zoom conversation, and then ultimately onboard new employees from the courtesy of your home as an HR manager, but then also the employee. They can do it from their mobile device. They can put out their I-9 information. They can do their onboarding of E-Verify, their signature on the actual offer letter, and then ultimately do their insurance products right there online. So really bringing that mobile capability that all of us are looking for. Just like Decisely, as a lot of people are not going back to the office. We actually reduced our footprint, which reduces our carbon footprint overall, by getting rid of our headquarters and subleasing that out and going virtual and having a much smaller footprint ultimately, and allowing the luxury of staying home and working from home and giving a better work-life balance.
I love the conscientiousness, and also coming from the staffing background on the agency side for so many years, that makes such a huge difference. All the automation, all the technology. And if there's 2 things I love in my life is leaders that use their influence as a force for good, and technology that's a force for good. Not every technology is necessarily making that fundamental impact in people's lives. But in this case, putting people to work, putting bread on their table, providing for their families, you think about how it really does make a difference for the people that you serve.
This episode is brought to you by Inspire EDU, a nonprofit organization putting technology devices into the hands of Atlanta's underserved communities. The need for technology devices has accelerated due to the pandemic, and Inspire EDU makes a positive difference helping marginalized learners. Through its partners and supporters like you, Inspire EDU helps learners become 21st century scholars. Learn how you can support their mission at iuatl.org.
You talked about reducing your footprint, which is a really great segue into our next topic, which is how you became certified as a B Corporation, which is something near and dear to my heart. And we're starting this series with Be Local Georgia, and we're very proud of that here at Chat with Leaders. So I wanted to kind of ask you why that it was important for you and your leadership team to originally become a certified B Corporation.
Yeah, we've been a certified B Corporation since the inception of the firm, and really it was about having a purpose. It's about doing good in the world. And, we knew we were going to raise private equity. And sometimes, it's all about profits. And we wanted to make sure that in our bylaws that it had the statement that, we would put our people, our clients, and the environment first. And that's what the certified B Corporation does. And so when we raise capital and make this company bigger, we still fundamentally have that as part of our bylaws to make sure that we're continually looking at those three aspects and doing what's right. Because the reality is that, we as businesses, have the capability of making sure that people get to vote, that people have time off to vote. We certainly participated in that, junction, and civic duties responsible for that, as well as, great things that are happening with respect to paid leave time off. There's only 23% of employees in businesses today that actually have some type of paid leave. That's wrong. It disproportionately affects certain ethnic groups, and we need more time off for those types of things. And so we get in support of things like that, and never forget where we came from. That this is a wonderful country that we live in, and we need to respect that and make sure that our employees know that we're behind this from a purpose perspective.
Well, I love the responsibility and also the self-accountability too. I think there's a pretty lengthy certification process to become a B Corporation, and then you have to become recertified and really prove that you're doing exactly what you say you were going to do all along. And so there's a lot of transparency in all of that. And so I really respect the fact that you guys went down that path and that you continue to push for voter access and paid time off and really important issues. And that's really forging ahead. And I can imagine that really strengthens the culture for people that believe in what you're doing, that have come on board. Would you say that helps with your retention and just the culture and people getting behind some of those movements?
Yeah, it helped with both retention as well as, hiring. I mean, we've hired actually 22 people in the last 14 days because we're growing so rapidly. And so It certainly does that. And we're really super excited from a Georgia perspective, as Georgia never had its own e-local in Georgia. When we first put the headquarters here, is that we were only one of 12. And so, what other companies have band together with us to put together the website, we actually hosted and built it. The team now we're, up to, I think, about 14 to 16 B Corps now. And the lucky number for this year is 21 and 21. And so we're excited about some of the people that are getting behind this, and the University of Georgia and others that are helping to sponsor this and giving resources to help you get through the certification process. Because to your point, it is a process, and there are things that you have to do and show that you are qualified for certification, because there are only 2,500, 2,700 certified B Corps in the entire world and globe. Makes you quite unique from a business perspective.
And it's a wonderful list of companies to be associated with. And you mentioned the point of attracting and retaining employees, but I think it also begs to make a point of that consumers almost demand that the companies that they do business with now are socially conscious and environmentally conscious, that are reducing their footprint. So it's really good for business in terms of attracting more people to your brand. And I know that me personally, and a lot of people that I know, look at companies from that perspective and say, yes, these are the people that I want to do business with. And I would rather work with them than somebody that is not socially conscious or has not made this formal pledge and is accountable to something like a B Corporation or Be Local Georgia. So I wanted to talk about that because you were one of the first. You said 12, I believe. So what advice would you have for other leaders who are interested in becoming involved and using their influence and business as a force for good here in the state of Georgia?
The certification process takes time, so be patient when going through the process itself, but make sure you're committed to exactly what you're embarking to. And, and it's not something that you do just as the CEO or the founder of the company. It's about community. So utilizing those that are around you and having, great conversations internally builds a culture around the B Corp mission and the certification that allows the employees to feel its efforts. Because ultimately, you as a CEO and co-founder, your job is to build a business. And so you need all those people to be behind it so that they get out there and make the community happen, make things happen ultimately. So you want everyone to be a part of it. It's not something that you do in isolation. It's not like building a business plan. You just do that yourself and you kind of make the theories around it. You need the power of we ultimately to be behind it. That's a collective side of that.
Yeah. And I always say culture is shared values and purpose. And if you can't get that right in the beginning as a leadership team and cast that through the organization and for everyone to be on board with that and then have it lived out every single day, then there could be a disconnect in the long run. But the good news is that you're living it out and your culture is thriving, your business is thriving as a result. And I wanted to congratulate you on that and thank you for your influence. As you move forward and look ahead in Decisely post-pandemic, what are you most excited about? And where would you see the next kind of 3 to 5 years down the line?
We're most excited about getting out and getting to hug each other.
Absolutely.
There's a big part of Decisely has always been the culture side of this is that, of having get-togethers, and it's never just employees. It's always, all the family members. It's amazing how the little 2-year-olds, how in a year they look so much different and, and feeling that aspect of it and having some face-to-face time is definitely something we are all looking forward to. We're also looking forward to is that, from a community perspective is, we're happy to support our latest endeavor, which is actually a web series that's coming out, which is Color Girl Chronicles. And it, has these, 4 20-something women that are in the Brooklyn. And it's going to be a web series in which coming out. And we're proud to have sponsored and helped them raise money on Kickstarter. And so trying to do more things for the community. And, really, as we get out of pandemic, everyone does have more of a sense of community, I think, because all of us, suffered through isolation. And, I've really put a lot of thought into, what do we want America to become? And what do we want to become as Americans? And so we're looking forward to the community aspects of this and really getting back out there and having meals together. That'll be fun.
Wow. Couldn't agree with you more. And what great questions to be asking ourselves in terms of what future would we want for ourselves and what can we do together? I think when you look at it, we're all very similar in terms of what we would prefer for our families, for our children, for the next generation. We just need to come together on those minor differences and fill those gaps through good conversations and good leadership. So thank you for forging ahead faithfully and getting ahead of that. If people wanted to follow you, Kevin, and Decisely and just continue to keep in touch, where would you direct them online?
Yeah, best place to go is to LinkedIn. Certainly link up with me at Kevin Dunn. And also we have our Decisely linking as well. But that's the best place from a social media perspective. Of course, Decisely.com is always available and ready for questions or leads and conversations.
Excellent. Well, we will certainly be posting those resources on our show notes on our website, chatwithleaders.com. Kevin, this was such a gift. Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I really appreciate it. And wish you all the best and hope to come back. We'll have other conversations.
Absolutely. Hope to give you a big hug down the line.
There you go.
Thank you, Kevin. Hey, this is Jeff Bond, and thank you so much for investing your time with us today. We'd be thrilled for you to subscribe, rate, review, and share this episode on Apple or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please also visit our LinkedIn page to join our leadership community by clicking follow. We're grateful for your engagement and for sharing the inspiration coming from our guests so we can add value to aspiring leaders in your network. Have a remarkable week and go be a leader worth following.